Well, hello there. This is Dr. P, and in this lecture, we're going to take a look at aldehydes and ketones and how we name them. So remember our general naming scheme involves the following. We'll have some sort of root for our name, and that's going to be the number of carbons in the parent alkane. And then we'll have a suffix, which is going to be the functional group. Of course, we also had prefixes, which indicate substituents. And we had numbers, which indicate the positions of the substituents. So taking all of this into consideration, an aldehyde is going to have the suffix -al. And a ketone will have the suffix -one. Yeah, it looks like how you would spell the number 1, but it's pronounced -one. So let's take a look at some examples here. Now, when we're numbering our carbon chain, so let's say rule for numbering carbon chain of aldehyde, carbon chains of aldehydes / ketones. I'll say rules. Really, there's just two rules. The first rule is aldehydes always start with the carbonyl carbon as carbon 1. And then ketones will start at the end closest to, so ketones start numbering at end closest to carbonyl. Some examples here. Actually, let me write this in. Just write this in black here. My apologies if you can hear the dog barking in the background. So let's say we had the following. And let me do another one here. Okay, I'll stick another methyl group on there. Why not? All right, so let me go ahead and number these. And maybe I will do it in red. So for our aldehyde on the left here, carbon 1 is, that was the wrong thing. Sorry about that, guys. What did I do? There we go. Carbon 1 is the carbonyl carbon, so it's where the aldehyde is. So, boy, you know, what I think I'm doing here is I'm accidentally tapping my accidentally tapping my stylus. I have a Apple Pencil 2, so I do apologize for that. All right, so this is going to be 3-methyl, because that there is a methyl, carbon with 3 hydrogens. So this is 3-methyl, and then we have 6 carbons in the main chain, so that's hex, hexane. It would be hexane if it was just a hydrocarbon. There are no double bonds in the carbon chain. So it would be 3-methylhexanal. 3-methylhexanal. Now looking at our ketone, I could number this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, I happen to have a methyl here. But now I would name this 4-methyl-2-pentanone. Or I could stick that 2 in between the pentan and the one and call it 4-methyl pentan 2-one. Okay, and again, that the number 2 there refers to the carbon where the carbonyl carbon is. We don't have to do that for our aldehyde, since we know by definition carbon 1 is where the aldehyde starts. Okay, maybe we'll look at a couple of more examples here. And there is a priority to naming things. So if we have multiple functional groups, certain groups have higher priorities. So let's take a look at some more examples here. So let's take a look at that. And yeah, let's just take a look at this one. Now, when we go to number this, we are going to start with the aldehyde. So in this case, the aldehyde has precedence or priority over the alcohol and the alkene. So we would not start numbering at this end with the first carbon with the carbon-carbon double bond. That would not be carbon 1. Carbon 1 is over here where we have the aldehyde. So now this becomes, let's see, we have a methyl group and we have an OH group on our main chain here at carbon 5. So this would be 5-hydroxy, 5-methyl, heptene, oh gosh, let me think, it would be hept 6-ene al. Whoops, sorry about that. Al, there we go. Or maybe we could call it 5-hydroxy, 5-methyl, 6-heptene al. But sticking the 6 there is pretty, sticking the 6 there is pretty explicit for, it's referring to the En. So 5-hydroxy, 5-methyl, hept 6-ene al, or 5-hydroxy, 5-methyl, 6-heptene al. So 5 there. Okay. And notice that because the parent chain here is an alkene, it is an ene al. So we have our En as part of our root there, as opposed to An when we just have an alkane as our main chain. All right. So there's a few other, excuse me, a few other things I wanted to mention. That is a few common names. So for aldehydes, we have the simplest aldehyde, which would be methanal, is known as formaldehyde. And then the 2-carbon aldehyde, ethanal, is also called acetaldehyde. So acetaldehyde. I know, it sounds like you're saying, if you say it quickly, it's like you're saying acid aldehyde. No, it's acetaldehyde. And then another one that's worth knowing is benzaldehyde. Okay. Now, there are also common names for ketones. And these include things such as acetone. Let's see, what else is there? If we have a benzene on one side and then a methyl on the other side, that's acetophenone. And then you guys used this in the first lab of the semester when you were making triphenylmethanol, and that's benzophenone. There's also an older naming system, and that involves, this is an older naming system for ketones. You name the two alkyl chains and I'm going to change that. Let me erase here and call them hydrocarbon chains. Then add ketone. So, for example, this is normally 2-butanone, or I guess you could just say butanone because there's no way to have a 3-butanone since you number just from the side closest. But anyway, this would be methyl ethyl ketone, because we have a methyl group and we have an ethyl group, CH3CH2. We could have something like, let's do this here. And here's our methyl. This group, the CC double bond here, is also known as a vinyl group. So this is methyl vinyl ketone. And now we've got 2 isopropyl groups. So this would be di-isopropyl ketone. And what might be good practice is actually to name these with the IUPAC names. And I'll go ahead and, you guys can pause while you're watching this and give it a try. And then now that you've unpaused and come back, I'll go ahead and write these in. This would be 2-butanone or just butanone. And this would be but 3-ene 2-one. And this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2,4-dimethyl 3-pentanone. All right. So hopefully that gives you guys a pretty good idea of naming things. And again, naming is important, although I tend not to spend a lot of time on it in lecture. Anyway, until next time, stay safe out there. Bye now.